Welcome back to West Texas View.
It's been so much fun having Sandra and Susan here talking about Be the Change. And this has been inspirational to me as she's talked about as they've talked about how it's affected the junior high and high school students, but also the teachers and principals and other administrative staff that have been involved. And this is a great thing for our outlying communities to hear, because you might want to call them about starting this in their communities. Now, if I understand it correctly, you've just done it in Midland, but you're going to be spreading out to Odessa?
Yes, we would love to be able to do that.
Okay.
We started here in Midland. We live in Midland.
And as you strengthen it
Yes.
and really get your direction down solid, then you'll be able and ready to go out into the outlying areas.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about how people get involved, whether it's as a volunteer, a parent volunteer, people want you to come into their schools. How do they get involved?
Well, you can go to our website if you're interested in helping or becoming a volunteer. There is a link there that says, how can I help? But we need a lot of help with volunteers. We need one adult for every 4 students.
Wow.
Yes. And so if we can get the parents or teachers, or, we have already administrative staff and teachers, but it's always great to have community support. And the other way you could help us is we do fundraisers, and we also do take donations. It's about $40 per student to do a challenge day. $40 does not seem like a lot. It just adds up as we have hundreds and thousands of kids to come through the program.
And so how are you funded for this $40?
We are funded through private donations, organization grants, mainly.
Mostly
all
grants.
Yes.
Okay.
We do a lot of.
And your fundraisers.
Yes, we
Which
do.
you've got one coming up in September.
We do. We have a golf tournament. Susan could probably tell us more about that.
But that's a really important point, is you're trying to make this program free to the students.
Yes.
But to do that, you've got some cost involved, which entails bringing these people from California that have a really strong program for the Challenge Day. And so you'd like for people to be involved in a lot of ways, whether it's helping as a donor, helping as a volunteer, or helping get students and schools involved in this. Tell us a little bit.
I think one of the ways that Challenge Day is so hard to explain until you've actually gone through it, because it's a program that helps students, adults, just the community connect. And so that's one of the best ways. We have 100 students that go through each day. We have 4 schools planned for this year. So, and each school either has 3 or 4 days. So we've got 16 days, that's 1,600 students. Plus we have to have adults for each of those, like Sandra said, one for every 4.
But how are these 100 students chosen?
They get to sign up through the schools. Okay. We go to Midland High and Lehigh, and then the other schools. And so sometimes the schools choose them, and they choose school or kids that are either being bullied, or maybe kids that are typically kind of identified as bullies, or kids that are going through a difficult time in their life, or kids that aren't, because really it's a program for every child. Every person needs to go through
it. Because everybody has a difficult period, either because of things that are happening at home, things that are happening at school, things that are happening in church. Everybody goes through these and needs that fortification within themselves to combat those difficult times.
Definitely.
And that's really what it is to give them that inner strength and knowledge of how to handle these things.
Yes.
And so this first intensive day, this challenge day, is to really help them to focus on the things that might happen and how they can combat them. All of the tools they've got, love, forgiveness, and so on.
It really helps them to focus on the fact that we're really not that different, that we're really all pretty much the same. And that you're walking down the halls, or even as adults, we see people and we make judgments based on who we think they are. And we don't know anything about their life. But when we get to open up to each other, we realize that they're struggling, we're struggling, and if we can just learn to support each other, those struggles are so much less.
And walk in their shoes.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's the coolest thing, is that kids get to see, there's an activity called Cross the Line, they get to see that, wow, I didn't know they were experiencing so many problems. No, that makes sense why they act that way, or that makes sense why they may say hurtful things, or because they're being hurt. You know, they're hurting inside too.
And this is a defense mechanism for them.
Exactly.
That they're going to take it out on somebody else before they get it.
Yeah, I think that's why it's so cool for the adults to get to volunteer and see that, because that's why I say it really changes everything for you. And you know, the volunteers help us to spread the word and help get more volunteers, and that helps us to raise more funding, because we've gotten a few grants and mostly private funding.
And getting corporations involved with loaned volunteers then will bring, of course, more money in and be able to help more students, because that's essentially what you're saying. We want the money not for some grandiose plan, but for really touching those students' lives. And so you haven't been doing this long enough to really have a real long history. But at the end of the year, what do the students tell you? Do you have them fill out any kind of evaluation or something that says this really saved my life?
Yes, you want to. Okay. We are actually, we've done one questionnaire since we're just new. But yes, that's our main focus this year, is becoming more like we're making a curriculum for leadership, because not only do we want these kids to see what's going on in their lives, but there were things that I didn't learn until later in life as an adult that really could have helped me when I was in junior high and high school. And
things I wish I'd have known when I was 13.
Yes. So we're starting a curriculum, and Susan is writing that for us. And also, I'm sorry, I lost the question.
You know, when you're talking about evolving an organization like this, the feedback that you get from the students or from the faculty that sees the results every day is going to help you shape that. I am just so excited about this program and the impact it can have on our young people. And so I hope that you will contact Be the Change at these numbers that have rolled across your screen, and Susan and Sandra will be very happy to talk with you about it. We'll see you next Sunday with another program. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for joining us for News West 9's West Texas View with Johnny Lou Avery. This has been a public affairs presentation of KWAB-TV and KWES-TV.